expected. Meanwhile, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey spoke out yesterday to discuss and answer to a lot of critics who were upset because he banned the president from Twitter. In a series of tweets, Jack Dorsey said that the ban, while he still believes was justified, he also admitted that the technology giant has real power in the global conversation, and this is setting a dangerous precedent, quote unquote. Snapchat also joined other social media companies in permanently banning the president's account. Meanwhile, yesterday we heard from John Mates, the CEO of Parler. He told Reuters that the platform may never come back after it was taken offline by Amazon Web Services and removed from the Apple and Google app stores. A coordinated attack on a competitor of Parler. Joining me right now is White House Office of Trade and Manufacturing Director Peter Navarro. Peter, it's great to have you this morning. I want to get to two topics with you today. I want to talk about this attack on free speech, what we're seeing happening with the social media, but I also want to get your take on China. Let's first start with what has taken place with Amazon, Google, Apple, and Twitter. Your reaction?
Maria, what we have here is a classic collusive oligopoly and kind of new wine in an old bottle. And what we saw with this attack on Parler was chilling to me. It's one thing to deplatform everybody for free speech, but this was a pincer move where Google and Apple, first part of the pincer was to not allow Parler apps to be down. Now, Parler could get around that. When Amazon came in for the brutal kill by taking the cloud away from Parler as a small company, it was no longer able to access its data, and effectively Amazon wiped out that company. I think they've got a heck of a lawsuit for damages there because of what was done. I think that the Congress needs to look very carefully at this collusion because there's serious antitrust issues. And earlier in your program today, you noted quite correctly that Twitter allows the Ayatollah to tweet, but not the president of the United States. I would add to that, one of the things that's really bothered me is the Chinese Communist Party official propaganda organs put things up all the time on Twitter, and there's the Twitter censors don't jump up there and say this is disputed. So what's going on here, I think, is a very serious threat to our democracy, and I would be remiss by not saying to you, Maria, that what happened yesterday was a travesty. The Democratic Party did violence to this country by attacking a president who I believe was legally elected on November 3rd. If the election were held today, he'd be elected again. And if he runs in 2024, he will be elected then. And I think that's what the Democrats fear. And I've never been more pissed off in my life at this place. And I think there's 74 million Americans out there who voted for President Trump who feel exactly the same way. So I would say that these people on Capitol Hill, knock it off. Stop this. Let the man leave peacefully with his dignity. He was the greatest jobs president, the greatest trade negotiator we've ever had in this history, and this is just wrong what they're doing.
Well, we know that there were irregularities in this election. We know that 70% of Trump voters have said we're not buying this election. We think it was rigged. But get this, you cannot say that on social media. You will get banned.
You can't say it anywhere.
Irregularities. If you say there was fraud, it's absolutely outrageous. This feels more like Chinese communist China than it does America, that they have the ability to stomp out free speech, Peter.
It's the great firewall of Silicon Valley. And let's not forget that Mark Zuckerberg hired Chinese nationals, members of the Chinese Communist Party with experience building the great firewall of China and censoring Chinese citizens so they can imprison them. He brought them over here on H-1B visas, I assume, put them to work learning how to censor the president of the United States. Maria, this has got to stop. What Congress is doing right now is they're turning a divide between a 50-50 country into a chasm. Okay, and the people of this country, the Trump people, are not going to stand for this. And if Pelosi and Schiff and the Swalwell, my God, Eric Swalwell should never darken the doorway of Capitol Hill. I mean, he slept his way up the coast of California with a Chinese spy, and as she was sleeping with him, she was sleeping with mayors from north to south. I mean, these people disgust me. And that spectacle yesterday of a mock trial on camera report without any testimony, you get my drift.
Yeah. I understand, Peter, but what's going to be done about it? I mean, look, Eric Swalwell was just named to the impeachment he's an impeachment manager. Now we see that the U.S. government is set to allow Americans to continue investing in Chinese technology giants Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu.
Yeah.
The president did an executive order in November. These were among the 12 Chinese companies that were being examined by the Defense Department to be added to a list of companies that have ties to the Chinese military. We know the Chinese Communist Party's goal, Peter. They want to overtake the United States as the #1 superpower. The whole world should be worried about that. The whole world should be worried about the communists running the world. And yet here we have the Treasury under your administration, the president's administration, allowing investment in these companies. Where's the disconnect here? Do they not see China and the ties to the military as a threat?
Yeah, well, the Steve Mnuchin Treasury, I'll have some things to say about that once I leave here. Goldman Sachs, there's just too many people there, and it's going to be the same thing in the next administration. But look, let me say more broadly here, because these jobs numbers came out. The other thing I want to do for you today, Maria, is basically warn the people of America that 2021, I think, could well turn out to be the big short. There's termites in this economic house that are just gnawing away. And you can imagine a scenario, the market, like, okay, we have bad job numbers, the market goes up. Well, why? It goes up because, well, maybe we're going to have more stimulus that they can throw in there. And all the money that can't go into the bond market because you can't earn a return there, just goes into the stock market, drives stock prices up. But I can tell you, out in the heartland, small businesses are dying by the boatload. And there's tens of millions of Americans that are out of work. And this is Nancy Pelosi's fault. They can impeach a president in a day, but they can't pass a macroeconomic stimulus for 3 friggin' months going into the election. And that delay, Maria, is going to ensure in 2021 the death of tens of thousands of small businesses because it's too little too late. Yeah. And there's significant structural issues going on in this economy that are permanent, that are going to make it very difficult. And then we got the lockdown blue state blues going on in California and Illinois and all these states. So, look, Capitol Hill, stop messing around with the greatest president in history.
Yeah.
Because
Peter, Before you go, I got to ask the question that I've been asking all week, and that is, where's Jack Ma? As we see American companies gear up to own and operate their own businesses in China, I think it's very important for them to recognize what just happened with the Ant Group. Jack Ma, billionaire founder of Alibaba, one of the Chinese jewel companies. There he is at Trump Tower. He has been all over conferences, Wall Street conferences. Wall Street made a lot of money on this guy because they took Alibaba public. And now we see that he made negative comments, criticized the Chinese Communist Party for its regulations in financial services. What did they do? Xi Jinping turns around, pulls the huge $30 billion plus IPO of the Ant Group. And now we haven't seen him for 2 months. Has he disappeared? Is he with Jimmy Lai in a prison in Hong Kong? Is he getting re-educated? Where's Jack Ma?
Yeah, it's funny. When you said Jimmy, I thought you were going to say Hoffa. Swimming with the fishes there.
Jimmy Lai,
I mean, it's not
Jimmy
funny,
Lai
right?
is an activist and was on the front lines of the... Yeah. exactly.
It's not funny because they made this guy disappear, but this is what they do. I mean, this is a classic case. The Chinese proverb is kill the chicken, scare the monkey, right? So the idea is, like, if you're a billionaire in China and you got rich basically like Jack Ma did, like stealing the intellectual property of companies like eBay and then sending billions and boatloads of counterfeit goods here and laughing all the way to the bank, okay? What you got to do, Jack, is just keep your mouth shut and count your money. Don't go out and play air guitar or real guitar and pretend you're a rock star, because Xi Jinping will crush you. I mean, Xi Jinping crushes whatever is in his way, right? And by the way, on our watch, okay, China, communist China, crushed democracy in Hong Kong behind the shield of the pandemic, and Capitol Hill did nothing. We tried in the administration. We threw everything we could through an executive order, but Capitol Hill did nothing. They can impeach a president in one day, but they don't do a damn thing. And the American people are so sick of these people. These Democrats, I don't know what they think they're going to get away with here, because people are so pissed off right now at what they're doing.
I understand you're upset. We will be focused on incoming policy changes, and we will certainly put a spotlight on any potential changes to the U.S.-China policy, knowing what we know about the Chinese Communist Party and its motives and efforts. Peter, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for getting all fired up, and we will talk with you soon. We'll catch up soon. Peter Navarro joining us there.